Welcome to our podcast, Relationship and Real Estate. I'm your host, realtor and investor in Belleville. My co-host is my other half, Jace.
The better half, Jace Bear. We got some breaking news this week and everyone started scrambling. Even though he's not even president yet, he's already called some things that he's going to do, which caused our prime minister, our premier, to start scrambling to worry about this potential 25% tariff on any imports coming into the U.S.
Yeah, so do you think this is somewhat of a manipulating tactic that he's trying to pull?
Oh, Trump is a master manipulator. That's why I think he did it, because he's not even in power. And we're already making meetings with him. We're already scrambling to say and fighting internally that we should all align and we should fight back. But what are we going to fight back? What are we going to do? So basically, Trump said to both Canada and Mexico, he's going to renegotiate that agreement that used to be called NAFTA, which he changed again. So he's going to change it back. Anything that's going to be incoming to the U.S. is going to have an additional 25% tariff/tax on it. So what people are not understanding and what people are just jumping to conclusions is if we export lumber or aluminum, which we do tons of to the U.S., we have to pay that tax, which we do not. It is the companies in the U.S. who want to bring our lumber in will have to pay that 25%. So the thought behind it, what Trump is saying is, if they charge their local companies to bring in Canadian resources or Mexican resources, those avocados are good. It's actually bad for the companies who purchase outside of the U.S. So he's trying to, in a way, get them to look and source these things locally. But what Trump is not understanding, how do you do that when you don't really have the natural resources? Canada has lumber. Yes, U.S. has lumber, but not to our extent and not to our quality.
Yeah.
Aluminum, precious metals, is one of our biggest things. Oil, for example. We send it, the refining will send it back, right? Mexico, you got bananas, you got avocados, you got all those good things that maybe you can do in California and Florida, but it's not going to be Mexican quality.
Yeah.
So how do those companies sort of pivot to figure it out? Because if they're going to if they don't have the setup or the processes or the systems, that's investment, that's raising prices locally. That's not really solving the problem of it being lowering your prices, but it may solve the problem of it being built in the US, but it's not going to be immediate.
Right, but I completely hear what you're saying, but when you talk about lumber and you talk about all these other big importing and exporting, I guess, items, if you were to call them, I think what he was trying to say, or what he's trying to say, is on commodity items. So what's your sort of understanding about commodity item? Because
it is exactly what I talk about, right?
Yeah.
You do a housing project, you need lumber.
Yes.
Commodities are precious metals,
Yeah.
the everyday things that you need to build products, cars, things like that. It is exactly that we're talking about, right? The problem is with that, he's trying to address, and this is where a lot of the U.S. people, I think, are dumb. I'm sorry to say it, because and that's just me personally, Trump gives a lot of keywords and throws out crazy ideas there, and a lot of people catch on to it. A lot of simple-minded people who don't really understand the facts behind it. So, for example, the issue and the root cause behind this is getting better border protection. So immigrants, illegal immigrants from Mexico and Canada, because they're reporting a lot of uptake in that in both regions, is to make a better pack or make a better border protection plan or something like that. Instead, he's shifting it to charge us more. But it's not charging us more. That's what their general public thinks. It's charging their companies more in hopes that their companies will start figuring out how to do it themselves, which makes sense. But in the interim, that doesn't change the cost of of their internal goods, their prices, their manufacture.
Exactly.
That's the problem. And then we have another problem where we have Justin Trudeau scrambling, going on a meeting to call Trump immediately, which is exactly what Trump wanted. He wanted to get the reaction. And then we have stupid Doug Ford, I'm sorry, saying that we are not Mexicans. Don't look at us that way. That's already dissing a whole country when we both should be on the same sides. And just like the NAFTA renegotiation, we made good allies with Mexico to try to compete against what U.S. was trying to do to us. So what do you think about in terms of how Justin Trudeau and all our local politicians reacted to this news?
Yeah, like you said, I don't think the hype was, obviously Trump did this more of a scare or to get attention. But I think it's just more of a reaction to see how Canada is going to, I guess, renegotiate if there's some sort of negotiation, or what would be their position, what would be Justin Trudeau's position or Doug Ford in terms of how they would address the situation. But like I was saying, I think, and this was my kind of understanding of in line of why he did this, because he's not even announced the president as of now.
Right.
Was just to, use this as a tactic to really start getting changing ideas in people's minds, specifically these leaders, on how they're going to look at border services and tightening up, entry exits and rules around what's coming in and what's going out around border services. Right. So for me, that was kind of my thing of saying, this is actually not going to happen. But again, no one has a crystal ball whether or not it's going to happen. But that's kind of my take on it. But if 25% tariff is going to be announced in the next little bit once he takes presidency, I believe that this is really going to cause a lot of
impact to our economy.
Right. Yeah, to
maybe
a lot of things.
Maybe, because I think you'll get some companies that will stop buying from Canada because of that. But a lot of the companies are not going to be ready and equipped to say, I need to source it myself and not go to Canada. So they'll suck it up. They'll raise prices. And locally in America, your prices will go up for home building products, for cars, all that stuff. You'll have a different issue.
Yes.
And the Canadian economy, perhaps they're not buying as much because the U.S. is our biggest trading partner. 40% of our trade is with the U.S. We'll have those industries out in the prairies, out west, is going to be impacted most. So it's a bad on both sides. But I think U.S. having more trade partners and having more diversified way of doing business will long term be better. Canada has to go back to what Stephen Harper said. I'm sorry. And hopefully this changes soon with the upcoming election. We cannot look towards the U.S. as our sole provider, our sole friend. We have to diversify and look at other countries in South America, look at Europe, look at Asia, build better partnerships, because just like people tell you in wealth building, which we can talk about next, you got to diversify your portfolio.
Yes.
So what people are telling you is not exactly how our countries run, which is very sad. It's like, I have a job and I'm just worried about my job and I don't have other stream of income coming in. So maybe we can transition to that.
Yes, absolutely. So for me, what was my greatest wealth building tool?
I like your socks.
Thanks. And one of that was, coming out of high school and starting to work with my uncle at about, 14 years of age, was quickly starting to think about employment.
Is that the 71 Sounds uncle?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, back in South America. At 14 was basically, he was teaching me on how to run a small business, right? And so that was kind of me going, okay, at 14, straight out of high school, started college, I need a job to support myself, or I need a job to essentially allow me to stay in college, right? And so that was that income that was continuously coming in. So for me, it was like that mindset of employment income is essentially my only source of building wealth. If I were to go back and look at it now, transition into Canada and have worked many jobs, has still been my employment income, which is
Right.
my T4 income, which has allowed us to, over the years, get into many streams of investments, including real estate being our biggest one.
Right.
So for you, would you agree that that would more or less your would be the greatest tool?
Yeah, I would say tool. It start with your 9 to 5 income. That can get you to a certain point. I would say that can get you too rich, if you are really skilled at what you do. But in terms of building wealth, you need other streams of income, right? But that tool or that savings that you do and being disciplined with your money comes from your T4 income, right? Like no one's at day one's going to be able to wake up and build a rocket ship to go to Mars, right?
Yeah.
We're not all Elon Musks, right? And Elon Musk is lucky too because unfortunately he didn't get the money all himself. He is getting loans from Canadian banks, which I wish I had that power because I could do just as great things as him. But unfortunately, my name is not Elon Musk because I have great ideas in here. But yeah, I think those you have to start out with money. You have to start with your T4 income and build and put a plan in place. But you know that you save and you're diligent with your money.
Yes.
You can build wealth on part-time, passive income, active income, putting it out there. So you want to talk about some of those?
Yeah. So for us, it was, working, stacking the cash with really having a discipline sort of plan in place. Because I think it's important when people hear wealth, they think, oh, wow, you must be rich or, you're so wealthy in terms of the definition between rich and wealthy. But wealth creation is essentially starting to be really disciplined with money. That's the way the money's coming in, which is how you're earning your income, to the way you're budgeting and managing
Right.
the money coming in, and then also to what you're saving, right? So if you are not having discipline with your money, then that's essentially you can't get to, for in my
Right.
opinion, you will never be able to get there because if you're not able to be disciplined with how you manage your money, how is it that you're going to create wealth? And that comes through the various streams of that saving portion, how you're going to structure that, whether it's going to be through real estate investing, through stocks, through mutual funds, maybe starting a small business, whatever your goals are,
Right.
in order for you to then have that second or third stream of income.
Yeah, because I think savings, the process is pretty simple. And it's not like there's a secret formula out there. Like you've heard us said, it's real estate, it's stocks, it's mutual funds, and maybe it's a business idea that you have that could potentially make a lot of money. There's nothing else
Yeah.
out there. There is not you invest in an alien and the alien gives you money or something like that. It's really that simple. Savings becomes investment money, and investment money goes into real estate, stocks, mutual funds, whatever that lets it grow.
Yeah, which essentially now you can then either looking at it as investments that can be reinvested to continue to grow as you think about how or these streams that you're basically are looking or managing them, or planning for your retirement or your future, right? Because a lot of times we don't think about the now. We think about later. We think about now, and so that whole wealth creation essentially now going to become wealth building because then it prepares you to either one, be on the road for financial freedom, or two, if your goal is to become, one of the individuals that we are, building generational wealth for our family, for our kids, in time to come, then you have to define that. And obviously that doesn't happen like, you just came out of high school, went into college,
Right.
and then you start thinking about wealth building or wealth creation, and then you start thinking about your retirement, because in our 20s, that's where we started.
Yeah. And you don't start by yourself. Like, you have to slowly build and get advice from people. Like, I mean, YouTube is a great resource. There's a lot of great resources there, but you don't make this stuff up in your mind. They come through books. They come
Yes.
from people who've done it before.
Yes.
And it comes through, we talked about on another pod, mindset.
Yes.
So you have to have that mindset that you continually want to improve your situation.
Exactly. And I think one of the strategies of, wealth creation and wealth building is really educating yourself through this process, right? And I think a lot of it, we didn't invest a lot of money in education. We were watching a lot of motivational speakers, leaders, things like that. But we actually, what we could have done better is to actually start to read books, educate ourselves more on the educational aspects of, financial literacy.
And that was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's when today you don't have to actually, everything is out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a $200 course or it's a YouTube video or it's, everything is out there. There's nothing hidden. So there's nothing stopping anyone from going to do that. Save your money, invest your money, and then you have different options.
Yes. Yes. And the formula is simple. It's not complicated.
Right.
It's really simple. And the other thing is, like, I've heard a couple of people say, and I thought was like, oh, this is the way I thought of money to begin with, is what's your relationship with money, right? It's like having a relationship with someone,
Yeah.
Your partner, if you're in a relationship, whatever that means. But money goes the same way, right? If money's coming in, money's going out, and there is no sort of boundaries, no sort of intervention on what you're doing with this money, then it's the same thing. What exactly is your relationship with money? And so if you're not establishing that, then it's going to come in and it's just going to go out just
Right.
as it comes in, right?
That's funny.
Yeah. So I
never
was
thought
like,
about it
oh,
that
yeah, your relationship with money. And I thought, well, what's my relationship with money? I've never thought about it this way, but I've heard someone
Do you sleep with it at night?
no
Okay.
talk about it, and I thought, whoa, that's a different way of actually viewing this. But it makes sense.
It makes sense,
Yeah.
but it's a little bit weird to me.
No.
Anyways, so yeah, I think that is what you have to do. And when we talk about diversify, how Canada should diversify, how it makes its money, how it does its import and export with
Yes.
other countries, that is what you have to do individually. Right? So you can't just have everything in savings, because savings is only for emergencies and
Yes.
for big purchases. You can't just do investing, because if investments go up and down, so if you don't have any savings, investments go up and down, you're dipping into your savings, so you're back to where you started from. You have to have a job, right?
Yes.
And if the job offers you a match to your RRSP, take it. That is free money. That is talking about later on. It's just not just about now. It's a long-term game
Yeah.
that you can retire with that money, or you can pull it out whenever. But that, always look for those types of advantages that you have. They're really simple. It's really out there. Just because it's taking an extra 3 or 4% from your paycheck, the company might be doubling it on the
Yes.
end, but you're not seeing it. So that's for the young people out there. If there are companies offering free money, even though it might be taking it out from your paycheck a little bit every pay, at the end of the day, when you look at it, it's free money for you down the road.
Exactly.
Think long term.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah.